One day, in wherever the fuck land, DK, Diddy Kong, Dr. Eggman, and the Fat Controller were having a banana picnic. Suddenly, a banana peel fell on the floor. Suddenly, Lars and Steven appeared out of nowhere and slipped on a banana skin and went crunch on the floor and were severely injured. Everyone was horrified, but the Fat Controller knew what to do and he called for an ambulance on his phone. Soon, the ambulance was on its way and went all Nino and was driven by Wario and picked up the injured Steven and Lars. Suddenly, a banana peel appeared on the road, but Wario saw it at the last minute. Oh my god! Wah! And the ambulance slipped on the banana skin and went off the road, off the cliff, and went crunch at the bottom. Luckily, another ambulance was on hand to take the injured civilians to the hospital. When they got there, Dr. Pig and his interns, Dr. DDD, Dr. Sonic, and Nurse Escargoon got to work to save Wario, Lars, and Steven. As the hours passed, the surgeons did everything they could, but Steven, Wario, and Lars' fate was sealed after Dr. Pig said those 5 words. This made DDD sad. A few days later, the funeral was held at the Church of Pants. "Thank you all for coming to my church. Now we shall pray the Lord to send these 3 to heaven," said Reverend Pants. A few days later, Wario, Steven and Lars' ashes were buried and laid to rest. Several months later at the hospital, King DDD retired from being a doctor due to the incident, of course, and Dr. Kong is showing Dr. Gru the ropes of what King DDD did before. Dr. Kong is teaching Dr. Gru on how to reattach a decapitated head. The reason for why Gru became a part-time doctor is so that he can get some money to build his rocket so that he can steal the moon, also so he can buy a yearly supply of bananas for his minions. Gru always used bananas to keep his minions on the move. Dr. Nefario thought moving bananas was the worst job. The lab's listing on the stock market moving bananas was more important as ever. "You minions have been very good to me today. Ong. Dr. Nefario headed away from the banana mines into the open country. Nefario and minions go boom. Dr. Nefario lay upside down with severe burns. The minions in the banana wagons were completely destroyed. A local minion raised the alarm and help was soon at hand. Dr. Mario arrived with the ambulance and Gru. "I have seen some accidents in my time, but this is no accident. I say there has been a bombing on stealing the moon." Nefario was gently lifted into the ambulance by Dr. Mario and drove off to the hospital. Later that day, Gru arrived home and told the minions the news. Yes, it has been a very sad day for Gru and the minions. This means that moon landing will be cancelled until later. There seems to be a mad bomber on the loose. We must be on the lookout for suspicious characters. The minions looked at each other. "I will list you all with these cameras. Use them wisely." The minions viewed the cameras still in their boxes. Kevin surveyed the stock. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door, and Gru went to see who it was. It was Wallace, and he told Gru that he was in a spot of bother because he couldn't be able to find his cheese. An idea flew into Gru's head. This made Wallace tingle with joy. Gru showed Wallace his latest invention that can clone people and told Wallace to climb inside. Gru was surprised that his clone machine actually worked, and standing in front of him were 4 Wallaces. "Now remember, if you want to come back and need more Wallaces, feel free." "Brilliant, lad. Now let's go look for some cheese." Soon the Wallaces left Gru's house. The sun settled, and the minions mounted their cameras for the night, but on everyone's mind was the threat of the mad bomber. Next day, saw Vector bustling into the town square boasting, "So your banana stock has dried out. It's about time you're all replaced." Bob stepped forward, still trying to work his camera. Ong. Bob and Carl continued on delivering the food supplies with the girls. A few moments later, some of the minions gathered at the street, and Gleaming Yellow Dave formulated a rule stating, Ong. The minions decided to turn their hunt for the Mad Bomber into a camera competition. Then Gleaming Yellow Dave told Gru the arrangements and he agreed to the change of plans. Elsewhere, Scottish John the Minion was trying out some apples as an alternative. His video thoughts on this process. Tim was filming the story of an old locomotive's last working days. Carl decided he'd film on the street's feral cats. Diggy Gomez, the experimental minion, was interested in how cars would rush between streets. Stuart had his eyes on the skies and teamed up with Tails. Meanwhile, back at the operating room at the hospital, Nefario was still on life support and had a tube up his bum. "At least I can keep an eye on Vector even if I'm stuck here." "What's this about Vector?" Dr. Nefario explained to Dr. Mario and Dr. Kong about how he, Gru, and the minions went back to space to bring Vector back home to Earth, and that since that day, he and the minions had gained suspicion that Vector might take over. But Gru thinks that he and the minions were talking nonsense. "I see, but no matter, we will keep our eyes out for suspicious characters as well." Meanwhile, Gru was also keeping his eye on things. These figures are not good. The weapon prices have taken a dive since the bombing." An hour later, he told Vector to come over for his assistance on weapon prices. "I am relying on you, Vector, to get things back online." "I'll do that easily with direction and magnitude. You can forget about those minions now." Meanwhile, the Wallaces were on the quest for cheese. "I'm not dabbing, I'm looking at the floor for cheese. Has anyone seen Gromit? I think he's dead." "Look, lads, it's Big Yoshi. You gotta help us. We can't find our cheese." "There is no cheese." "So you're saying there's no cheese?" The Wallaces were not happy at all. The Fat Controller was looking forward to hot porn at home. Suddenly, he heard an extraordinary noise. "Give us the cheese! Give us the bloody cheese!" "Fuck that noise!" And he made a sprint to his car. "It has never been the same since Wario, Lars and Steven died." The Fat Controller decided to go to Beach City to see how the crystal gems are coping with the loss of Steven. "Joe ho ho, hello there." Hello there, Amethyst. How are you coping? "Oh, hi, Topham. See, you still remember him, do you?" "Yeah. He was like a little brother to me. Pearl's been sobbing for days and Garner has been quiet." "I don't know. I really don't know." The Fat Controller was wondering about how Waluigi was coping with the loss of his brother Wario. "What the fuck?" On the roof was King K. Rool, DK, Diddy, Waluigi, and Bandana Waddle Dee. Hello everyone. I see you've all made it by coincidence." "Wait, what?" King K. Rool explained that he'd gathered a few of them over to cheer them up with some pizza. "See. Sure, Waluigi. Just how have you been coping with your loss of your brother?" "I'm alright, Topham, but let me tell you, when I find out who did this to my brother, I'm gonna give them a bad Waluigi time." "Take it easy, Waluigi. That's just how life works, I guess." "Now let's have some pizza." "Excuse me, can we have some pizza too with cheese?" "I don't see why not. The more the merrier." Meanwhile, Vector went to an alleyway in secret to meet his pet shark. Just a sharky I wanted to see, and I see you have company." "Yeah. I have a small but important job for you three, but you must keep it secret. Very secret." The shark said nothing. Vector's plans are whispered to them. "That's my boys. I always like the quiet ones. No back chat, no. Not anything I get from those annoying minions. What's on your white hair on your tail? Have you been fixing that pesky Dr. Nefario?" "For a bunch of sharks that don't say much, it seems you've been betting for the other side. My strongest advice, you stick with me. I have connections in very high places, way higher than Gru. He's just a puppet that's about to have his strings cut." But unknown to Vector and the sharks, they were being watched. After the feast, the Wallaces were getting ready for a very special private event. One of the Wallaces had hired a special private brake van special, and their engine of choice was a small diesel shunter named Ryan. The Wallaces climbed into the brake van, and the quest for more cheeses continues. Then the signalman shouted as the cheddar special strolled down the line. "All traffic halted!" Ryan's driver turned up, and the signalman explained what had happened. An onion-looking boy fiddled with the controls, then he tumbled off and ran when Ryan started. Yes, he's here. Right, I'll tell him. A tank engine shunter will be coming now to aid the rescue. Thompson arrived to pick up Ryan's driver to stop the runaway cheddar special. Quickly, or else we'll never hear from him in 2 or 3 years. Meanwhile, Ryan and the Wallaces were enjoying the time of their lives until Ryan realised he had no driver. Oh snap! Help! Help! The Wallaces were also terrified, to the point one of them stripped naked and started bumming one of the brake vans. Luckily, Thompson catched up to the cheddar special and braked as hard as he could, 'cause up ahead was the station master's house. The station master was about to do his wife and kids. That's disgusting, said one of the kids. Oh no! Ryan went all crunch into the house. Luckily, no one was hurt, but a few Wallaces were killed in the crash, and luckily, Ryan wasn't severely damaged. Paul told the surviving Wallaces that their competition was almost over soon, and he was wondering if they would like to see what they had done, and they agreed. A few weeks later, the minions all assembled at Gru's house for a private viewing of their films. I hope you are enjoying your new cameras. Keep up the good work. Paul was the first to show his work. The minions didn't like this, of course. Ongy-gang. Bob was next, but couldn't remove the tape from his camera. Tim was called on, and silence fell as an emotional movie played. It was the best out of most of them. Diggy Gomez was next, but his camera was fucked. Well, you see, my homie Rodney don't know how to steer, so he ran over my camera. Ongy-gang. Dave rolled his eyes and called for John to come up. Then Paul was next. What are we watching? The cheese! The cheese! The cheese! Lads, are we allowed to get an erection in the theatre? Well, of course, it's cheese! Does anyone see that weird skeleton looking at us? It's Sans Undertale! Oi, lads, check out the Sans over here! The Wallaces and the minions started raving to megalovania. Gru was not happy at all, until Tails broke out the situation. All right, everyone, joke's over. We've got a situation to attend to. Agreed. Then, from the corner, Nefario called out, Dave, I have a movie. Animation. Can I show it? Dr. Nefario, you're finally out of hospital. It's good to be back, Gru. And between you and me, at least I don't have a tube up my bum now. The minions thought about it and discussed it a bit, but he was allowed to after. The animation consists of him and Tails fixing his scooter. They all appreciated how well it was. Then Kevin leaped up and requested for a replay. Then they saw something on the doorstep. It was a bomb. Don't panic, I can get it. No, Nefario, don't do it. If the bomb goes off, it will take you with it. Do you want to explode? Nefario placed the bomb in his basket and headed down the street. If I'm quick, I can save the street from certain doom. It's no use, I'll have to find a dumpster. Nefario didn't see where he was heading, and he was heading towards Vector's house. Oh no, it's Vector's house! I'll never stop in time! Vector couldn't believe his eyes. Oh, poop. The Vector and Nefario go boom. The next day saw Nefario once again being put in the hospital with a tube up his bum. Just then, Gru arrived with the police. I heard the mystery of the bombing is solved. Yes, indeed. Me and Sans did an analysis on video after Nefario left, and we believe that character is you. What? The policeman holds Gru. Right then, you're coming with me. Well, Nefario, your video was the key in saving the citizens, and from that pesky Vector. Nefario's went on to scoop up all the prizes in the video competition. It just goes to show a little video can go a long way.